Hey, everybody. It is yours truly, Dr. Shamieka Dean. Y'all come on in. As you're tuning in, make sure you share. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know if my connection is good as well. Because sometimes, the internet just does not want me to be great. So let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if my connection is good before I get started. And hey, Tina, how are you? How are you? Good. Glad to see you on here. So yeah, y'all come on in. If you are watching this broadcast, then I'm basically just going into the content that I've been posting, about today. If you're new to me, I'm Dr. Shamieka Dean. I am listen, I was like, wait a minute. But I am in short, a business coach, right? But I'm also a thought leader. And so what I mean by that is that I challenge you to think differently. Why? Because I know that belief systems become birthing systems. And a lot of the reasons why our life is the way that it is simply because of what we believe. And so when you shift your belief system, you shift what you are birthing in your life. And so today I'm going to be talking about humility, and just going to share with you a part of my story, my testimony, just kind of how I got to this point and where I am and what I'm sharing with you all today. So your girl was praying, right? And I was praying and I was asking God, what is the holdup? What is the reason why I haven't gotten my heart's desires in certain areas? And so the response that I got was not what I wanted, but it is the one that I'm sharing with you today. And what he revealed to me, he said, because you're not being humble, you're hiding. I want somebody to type that in the comments. You're not being humble, you're hiding. And so when he said that, it shook me, right? It just really hit me in the gut, y'all. I was like, say what now? Right? And so what he revealed to me is that so many times we think that because we downplay our greatness, that we are operating in humility. Let me help you real quick. How many of you all do not know how to take a compliment? How many of you all, when someone compliments you, the first thing you do is you try to disregard the compliment, diminish the compliment, devalue the compliment? For example, somebody say, girl, I love that dress. You're like, girl, I've been had this for 3 years, right? Or they'll say, oh my God, you did an amazing job. That speech was amazing. You'll say, well, I could have done better, or just whatever the reason is, you have a problem accepting the compliment, right? Every time somebody acknowledges your greatness, you find a way to diminish it. You find a way to disregard your greatness, right? But let me share this with you. And I want y'all to share. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. And I want you to understand this. Being humble is not denying your greatness. Somebody put that in the chat box. Being humble is not denying your greatness. Being humble is acknowledging who your greatness comes from, right? And so I had to really, right. I'm sorry. And so I had to really understand that for me to deny the greatness that he had told me that I would have, right? He said that he'll make our names great, right? And so for me to walk around and deny that greatness, me to walk around playing small, me to walk around diminishing and devaluing when someone acknowledges the greatness that's on my life or that I walk in, is a disservice to him. And it's disrespectful to him. When someone can acknowledge the greatness that's on you, right? And someone can see it and they're calling it out, right? I know who my greatness comes from. Here's the thing that gets me about false humility. And I talked about this a while back, probably about a year ago. And so I always challenge people, and I would ask them, why is it that when someone says to you, you did a great job, or that was amazing, or that was awesome, that you'll say, well, to God be the glory, or girl, it's only because of God, right? And so the responses I got were, because I don't want people to think. So I challenged them. I said, so because humility is a posture of the heart, why are you trying to prove to people how humble you are? I'm going to say it again because I really want y'all to catch this. If you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are humble, if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you have given God the glory, you give him all the glory, you give him all the honor, all the praises and honor are due to his name, right? You know that you are who you are because of him. You know that you are who you are. You do what you're able to do because of how he's gifted you, blessed you, how he's anointed you, appointed you. You know that you are not qualified for any of the things that you're able to do. Why is it that you feel the need to prove to people that you are humble? And here's why I say that. Because when you truly believe that you're humble, right? You're operating in your humility. You've acknowledged God privately. He knows the posture of your heart, but you still find yourself trying to prove to people that you are something. Therein lies the problem. Because either you believe or you don't. Either you are or you're not, right? So here's an example. If someone comes to me and they ask me what my name is, I tell them what my name is. And then they say to me, no, it's not. That's not your name. Will I argue with you about a truth that I know? Should I try to prove to you who I am when I already know that I am? So do y'all get what I'm saying? Do you catch my drift? Right? And so, excuse me, when we really begin to evaluate why we do the things that we do, that's when we'll find the truth. When we get to the root of a thing and we begin to ask ourselves the questions, why am I doing this? Then we will find the reality of our reasoning, right? So again, when he was sharing when I was talking about, or when he was sharing with me about, this whole humility thing, it blew my mind because we can give all of these cute and cliche sayings and we convince ourselves of everything but the truth. And so y'all know one of my sayings is that until you call a thing, you cannot conquer it. And so until you stop operating in false humility, you cannot conquer it. The things that you have been really, truly praying for and desiring to happen are on the other side of you owning the greatness that you operate in. Instead of trying to prove to people that you are humble, that you operate in humility, right? Because if humility is the posture of my heart, then it is going to exude in everything that I do, not what I say. I'm going to say that again. If humility is the posture of your heart, it's going to exude in everything that you do, not what you say. Right? So, again, we have to stop with these cliche sayings. We have to stop with these cute little sayings and all of these things, trying to convince other people that we're humble, trying to convince other people of all of these things that we want them to believe so that they can be accepting of who we really are. Okay? And so, again, excuse me, the next thing about this humility thing is you have to ask yourself, what are you really afraid of when it comes to owning your greatness? What are you really afraid of when it comes to owning your greatness? I want you guys to continue to share, comment if it's connecting with you. Make sure y'all comment in the comment section. And also, again, make sure that you share, okay? But when it comes to you fully owning your greatness, what are you afraid of? You don't know? Well, I'm here to tell you, right? So what you're really afraid of is the responsibility that comes with it. The responsibility that comes with it. Here's why. Because you know that when you truly own your greatness, when you come and you say, you know what, I'm no longer going to be the best kept secret. I'm no longer going to be the secret weapon. I'm no longer going to be silent and let my success speak for me, and all of those cute cliche things that we say to convince ourselves that we're operating in humility, right? When you focus on the reality is that you're really afraid of the responsibility that comes along with it, which is that you know that your margin of error is going to be minimal. Put that in the comments. Number one, your margin of error is minimal. Not by God, though. And that's the crazy thing. Because we have not reached a level of perfection. We've not attained a thing. We're all a work in progress, right? He even says that he who has begun a great work in us will continue to the return of Christ. But because we are so afraid of what people are going to say, we're afraid that people are going to reject us. We're afraid that people are going to pull our coattails. We're afraid that people are going to call us imposters, right? We're afraid that people are not going to see us at this level of greatness that we see ourselves. So we know that the margin of error is minimal, right? So again, we're talking about why are you truly afraid to own the greatness that you operate in? Why you're truly afraid to own it? So number one, again, is that your margin of error is minimal. Number two is that your inadequacies are immediately exposed. Let me share something with y'all so that y'all will know that this came from experience, right? When I got ready to hire my first full-time employee, one of the first thoughts that came through my mind is, oh my God, she's going to have direct access to me and see that I'm not as great as I claim to be, right? They call it imposter syndrome. And I saw Takora Davis, she posted and she said, imposters don't have imposter syndrome. And it's so true because they convinced themselves that who they are is the truth, right? They have confidence like you wouldn't believe. It's the ones that operate in integrity that often struggle with imposter syndrome, which is crazy to me. But anywho, so I was having those thoughts and those thoughts and those fears trying to rear their ugly heads. Like, oh my God, she's going to see that I don't have all of this stuff. Things are not perfect. I still have work to do and all of these things, right? But here's how I nipped it in the bud. I operated in truth and transparency, which is what I'm doing right now. And when she came, I said, let me say this. I am great at what I do. I can do what I do in my sleep. God has anointed me to do this thing. However, there's a lot of work that needs to be done inside of this business for it to operate effectively, smoothly, and the way that I desire for it to. I said, so there are a lot of things that you and I are going to be learning and growing through together. Okay? I didn't try to take her to a place that I hadn't been. I didn't try to pretend that I was at a level that I wasn't. I was honest. I operated in truth and transparency. So the truth is you are going to be incompetent in some areas. There are going to be some inconsistencies in some areas of your life, even as you own your greatness, even as you accept it, acknowledge it, and then take the action steps to move forward in it. There's always going to be something that you don't know. There's always going to be something else that you need to learn. There's always going to be an area that you need to improve in. Here's the thing that you need to understand the most, though. It does not dismiss the greatness that you still operate in. Somebody type that in the comments. It does not dismiss the greatness that I operate in. Imperfections and all, flaws and all, you're still great. God didn't change his mind about you. And he didn't change his mind about what he called you to do or how he created you to do it. So put that in the comments. It does, even with your imperfections, all that stuff, it does not dismiss the greatness that you have. The other thing is that the reason it's so hard for you to own the greatness and stop operating and why you're comfortable operating in a false humility is because you know that the clapback is going to cost you more at this level. So we can look at a couple of celebrities, a couple of people right now that are trending or that were trending, the baby being one of them. I think it's the baby, little baby, old baby. I don't know all the babies. I don't know. I just know it's some with a baby. Okay. I don't know it's music. I just know I saw one of the babies trending about something he said. And instead of him just accepting, owning it, you know, and moving forward, he clapped back and it cost him a whole lot of coins. Right? Another person, Shakari Richardson. Love her. Love her. I admire her authenticity. I admire her operating in her level of confidence and all that stuff. But the clapbacks have cost her greatly. And so you know that when you own this level of greatness, you're now at a different level of influence. You're now responsible for a whole lot more. What you say carries more weight. Okay? And because of that, the clapbacks can cost you more. So you don't have the freedom to just do what you want to do like you used to do it. And it's not about not operating in your authenticity. I said this also. Authenticity does not negate the necessity of maturity. Some of what people are calling authenticity is literally just a lack of maturity. You just don't want to grow up. You have convinced yourself that saying and believing that this is just the way that I am is okay. But that is also why you are where you are and why you won't get where you desire to be if you're not willing to become the next best version of yourself so that you can attain that. Okay? So it's not about altering your authenticity, but there is a level of maturity that you have to go through. Spiritual maturity, emotional maturity, mental maturity, financial maturity, all of those maturities are necessary for you to get what you desire. It takes a different level of discipline, right? So when you own your greatness, you got to get out of that posture of desperation and get into a position of discipline. Type that. Discipline over desperation. Put that in the comment section. Okay? So put that in the comment section because I really want y'all to get this. Earring that came out. Lost my bag. Whatever. All right? And then the other thing, now that we're talking about authenticity, I want to bring it back to this point. Another reason that you don't want to really truly own your greatness is because you know that greatness means operating, activating in authenticity, but your authenticity is not going to be applauded by all. It's not. It's comfortable in the circle and the community that you're in now because you've built this community, you've cultivated this community, but now God is saying, I'm calling you out into the deep. I'm calling you to do something that you've never done before, which means I'm calling you to go places you haven't gone before. And there's a new audience of people over here. So everybody in this audience, so while you may have had 99% of people applauding you for your authenticity over here, you might have 25% of the audience applauding you for your authenticity over here. Because one thing I know about authenticity is that it aggravates mediocrity. It aggravates conformity. So when you get around people who have conformed to the environment they're in so that they can get the coins, so that they can get the claps, so they can get all those things, when they've conformed, when you operate in pure and 100% authenticity, it aggravates conformity. It aggravates it. And so some people will hate you before they hear from you. Uh-oh, that's good, Doc. Yes. That was good to me. But some people will hate your authenticity before they even willing to hear from you. They don't even realize that you're the one that's called to help them, so they'll hate it initially, right? But then you're faced with a choice. Do I still operate in this level of authenticity or do I conform so that they can applaud for me? Is this good, y'all? Keep sharing. And this is why all of those who have been waiting and didn't sign up for Breathe, this is the kind of content that I'm going to be covering. Because again, I am responsible for helping women break through broken belief systems, because belief systems become birthing systems. And my job is to help you birth what God said. My job is to help you birth what you truly desire to have in your life. So that means that I'm going to challenge those belief systems that have had you in that place of bondage, that have had you broke, okay? And I know a lot of times we don't want to talk about money, but it's the reality. Because my mindset was broken, because my belief systems were broken, guess what my bank account was too? And was. And was. And because I was afraid at one point to be rejected, it was reflecting in my revenue. And it did. And because I was operating in insecurities, it showed up in my income. It did. And this is why I'm so adamant about what I teach, why I teach it, the way I teach it. This is why I'm unapologetic about it. This is why I'm bold about it. Because I understand what it's going to take for you to break through those broken belief systems so that you can start birthing something differently in your life. And so if you haven't signed up for Breathe, you only have about 2 weeks to secure your spot. So you might want to send me a DM immediately because we're only taking 10 women. Right? And so this right here is free. So imagine what you get when it's paid for. That part. All right. So again, we're talking about, operating in humility. False humility is what I've been seeing more so than anything. A lot of people operating in false humility. And then, why you refuse to own your greatness is because you know that the margin for error is minimal. You know that the clapback is going to cost you more, right? You know that your authenticity is not going to be applauded by all people. You understand that. And you also understand that there's a different level of responsibility. And so it's easy for you to play it's easier for you to meddle around in mediocrity instead of really going after and focusing in on your greatness. It's so much easier for you to do that because you can hide when you haven't owned your greatness, right? You can hide. And so here's how you know you're hiding. And I'm gonna give you this and then I'm gonna get ready to close out. But here's how you know you're hiding. Y'all ready? Because this is going to extract a few edges. It's going to loosen some lashes and lace fronts. Now, I didn't wear any lashes today, okay? I haven't worn any actually in about 2 weeks. But anywho. So are y'all ready? If you're ready, just type ready. Because I'm telling you, it's really going to break free some things. It's going to break you free on some things, okay? So continue to share as well, inviting others to join us. Oh, y'all ready. Okay. Hey. Okay, so here's how you know that you are hiding and not operating in humility, but you're hiding. Number one, you do good. You do enough good. You do enough to be called good, but not enough to be called great. Put that in the comments. You do enough to be called good, but not enough to be called great. Put that in the comments. I'm pull my note up so I can make sure I get the other ones. That one's some, right? I'm gonna give y'all probably about 3 or 4. I don't know. Right there. All right. You give enough to be noticed, but not to be called notable. You don't want people to be able to you don't want people to consider you the one that can be that they can depend on. So again, you give enough to be noticed, but not enough to be called notable. That's number 2. Y'all ready for number 3? I don't know if y'all ready because I'm giving it to y'all like real rough. So again, you do enough to be called good, but not enough to be called great. And you give enough to be noticed, but not enough to be called notable. Put that in the comments as well. This is a good edge extraction today. Yes. And I'm going to give y'all another one. And again, if you haven't signed up for Breathe the Retreat, we're only taking 10 people. So once the spots are full, you miss it. That's on you, boo. Yes. The other one is this. This is the one that's really a kicker. Hold on. Let me grab my note. Pull it back up. You do enough to be seen, but not enough to stand out. Oh, my God. Help them today. Uh-oh. This one fell out, too. That's an example of what a good edge extraction looks like. Live and in person. Yeah, so you say enough to be seen, but not enough to stand out. Because here's the thing, you want to check it off the box. You want to look like you're doing the work. You want to look like you're ready, right? You don't want people to say that you're not doing anything. You don't want people to say that you really don't want it bad enough. So you say enough to be seen, but not enough to stand out. How many edges? How many edges? Let me know. I always say that I'm not responsible for the extraction of edges. So if your edges are loose, leaning, extracted, you know, it's not responsible. Is it good? I'm still talking. Y'all still with me? Edge is gone. Good. Whitney says I'm bald. But these are all signs and symptoms of you not really, of you operating and hiding. These are all signs and symptoms of that. And until you fully own your greatness, until you fully own it, the things that you have been praying for, the heart's desire, they're held hostage by that. Because there are platforms that you're supposed to grace. There are people that you're supposed to meet, right? There are moments that you are supposed to be able to master. But you keep self-sabotaging because you're operating in false humility. You're denying your greatness. That is a part of your identity. That's who he says you are. Because he's great, you are a part of him. You're great as well. But you don't want to own it because you're worried about what people are going to think. And here's the thing about success. It does cost you. It does. It does. And some of you all are willing to struggle just to stay connected to certain people. Nope, I thank you. Thank you for correcting me. He says it's not about the people that you're really afraid of losing. It's that you're afraid to go to this place that you've never been before. Because what happened was, thank you, you experienced some level of success before. You experienced a milestone. You hit a milestone in your life. And when you did, some of your relationships were affected. When you did, some people started talking about you. When you did, some people started lying on you. When you did, some people started begging. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. You're mad because people asking you for money, and God was like, but you said you wanted to be the lender and not the borrower. Oh, okay then. But anyway, that's another subject for another day. But when you experienced it, you began to experience some hardships, some turbulence, some separation. So every time there's another level of elevation, every time there's an expansion of the gifts that God wants to give you, every time there is a hint of the blessing that he wants to release to you, you immediately revert back to that memory in that moment. You revert back to those feelings that you had. And because of that, you start forfeiting. You start forfeiting. Because the feelings are more powerful than your faith. And what I realized too, as I was going through that particular time in my life, is that my feelings had more power because I really didn't see God as my father. I saw him as a provider, but I didn't really truly see God as my father. And the reason there's such a big difference and it's so significant is because when I see him as my father, I know that he'll protect me. I know that he'll provide for me. I know that he's with me every step of the way, that he'll comfort me, that he'll wipe my tears, that he'll mend my broken heart. But when I only saw him as that provider, right? When I only saw him that, there was such a distance. There was no intimacy, so I didn't trust him with things. So I only saw him as someone who could, as my friend Sean Strickland said, I think she said he was like a terrorist, or he would torment. I saw him as someone who was there quickly to punish me, but not to be there to heal my broken heart. Not to be there to protect me from people. Because here's the thing, when you really trust God as your father, then you'll trust his voice and you'll allow him to lead and guide you. So you won't even connect with certain people because he'll already tell you what's up. He'll let you know that it's not what they portray to be. He'll let you know that man that, you're mesmerized by the chemistry, that he's just whispering sweet nothings in your ear. He'll let you know that friend, that person that you thought had a cool personality was really someone that was assigned to get you off track, to distract you, to detour you. He'll let you know. But when you don't see him as your father, then you don't trust him with certain things. You're not in constant communication with him. When you really have a relationship with your daddy, with your father, is deeper. You let him into those intimate places, and you really truly start to listen to him and take heed to the wisdom that he's giving you. Because you trust him over anything. His voice matters more than anyone else's in the world. Right? So, was this good to y'all? Did I extract y'all edges? Tell me real quick in the comments which point stood out to you the most before we wrap this thing up. And as you are doing that, share. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about humility. And we're talking about how humility is not denying your greatness, but it is truly understanding who your greatness comes from. And that everything that you desire is on the other side of you actually owning your greatness. There are some things that are held hostage. Your heart's desires are held hostage because you won't own the greatness that you operate in. So there are rooms that you're supposed to be in. There are platforms that you're supposed to grace, people that you're supposed to be connected to. But you're unable to do that because you keep operating in this false humility. So again, let me know real quick which point that I shared stood out to you the most. And also make sure that you send me a quick message so that you, if you're interested, for those who are interested in Breathe the Retreat, so that you can secure your spot, so that we can go ahead and get you locked in, because you only have about 2 weeks to secure. Thank you so much for sharing, Whitney. Thank you for sharing. Good. Moving forward, Singleton said, this bless me. Tina says, you do enough to be seen but not to stand out. Yeah, that is one of my favorite points that he gave me. Like one of the favorite ones. He was like, yeah, you're doing enough to be seen but not enough to stand out. Like, especially in business, like you have to be willing to be contrary, because contrarian is really what makes you stand out. And people are looking for something different because there are so many people that already sound the same. Yeah, I see. Okay, so Jensen said that one stood out to her as well. Good. So again, thank y'all so much for tuning in to watch this broadcast. I don't know why I said broadcast. This means I'm going to be on TV. That's all. Just preparing. Thank you for watching this broadcast. This broadcast has been brought to you by Ms. Brent Says Everything. I'm here for it. Listen, I am here for it. Hey, Shekinah, just saw your comment. I am doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's just the edge is gone. Y'all are hilarious. All right. Well, that's all I have for y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I will talk to you all again soon. I think the next live I'm going to talk about is going to be about forgiveness. Forgiveness unlocks the flow of your favor, funds, future, and fortune. Are y'all ready for that one? Because that's the next one I'm going to do. Forgiveness unlocks the flow of your favor, your funds, your fortune, and your future. That is something that I need to talk about. And I'm actually going to take you all through a process of sharing with you how forgiveness works, why it's so powerful, right? Why unforgiveness is so powerful. And also how you can actually move to that place of flowing, right? Because again, I know personally that it unlocks the flow. It literally is a gateway. It is a flow. It is a funnel. And when you choose to walk in unforgiveness, it creates an obstruction of the things that you have actually been praying for. And so that's the next live video I'm going to do. I may do it tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to lie to y'all because tomorrow is my anniversary and my son has a game tomorrow. So it just depends on how the day goes. I have quite a busy morning tomorrow, and also I have quite a busy morning tomorrow and an evening as well. So it just depends on what my schedule is looking like tomorrow. But anywho, thank you, Talitha. Thank you. This dog is barking and it's getting on my nerves. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, if you're just tuning in, just make you share. If you have any questions about Breathe, if you want to go ahead and secure your spot, just send me a quick message and I will send you the link so that you can do that. And I love you all immensely and intensely, and I'll talk to you all again soon.